Hopefully you gleaned some insights on how to create new campaigns regardless of if you're using a PPC tool or not. If you are using Atomic, there are some key benefits beyond just having multiple campaigns built at once, and that is the rules and suggestions that are built into those campaigns. So rules are effectively two different things. What we're looking for when we're trying to find converting search terms for you to then target manually, and what search terms might not be working for you that we're actually going to make negative. Once those rules are created, either in our campaign builder or directly, as I'll show you later, then you're going to get suggestions, and those suggestions will include things that you want to target manually and what campaigns you want to add them to, and potentially search terms that are wasting money or have a high ACoS that you're going to want to make negative. So to make sure everyone's clear, let's just review those two types of rules. So this is a model of what a keyword promotion rule looks like within Atomic. And again, this is designed to find converting search terms and ASINs. So what you see on the screen effectively is 4 different campaigns that are all in the same rule. What Atomic will do is look at all the search terms across all 4 of those campaigns, and if it finds any search term that is converting for you, it's going to add it to the other campaigns in the match type that's designated. Auto campaigns at the top don't have keywords, so they are effectively not in this keyword rule, but they are a place to source keywords. So if we find something in that auto campaign that is working, we're going to add it as broad match in that research campaign or exact match in the performance campaign. The product target at the bottom, again, is your ASIN-based campaign, and that is why it's selected at the bottom. At the far right, you can also choose to add what we call search term isolation to your campaigns, and that is for high volume campaigns only to kind of isolate the keywords that are being promoted and make them negative in the campaigns that they're coming from. This is a somewhat advanced strategy though, so we only recommend that once you have campaigns that are performing. The negative keyword rule is kind of the inverse of that promotion rule because again, all we're trying to do is find poor performing search terms and ASINs for you. Now, we're only going to be looking at the campaigns that, again, have search terms. That's going to be the auto campaign and the research campaign because, again, the research campaign is broad match and has different search terms for you. Now, you can add the other campaigns here if you'd like, the exact match and the ASIN-based campaign, but since exact match and the ASIN-based campaigns are pretty much that exact search term, you can monitor those and manage those directly at the keyword level, and I'll show you how to do that later. So in the negative rule, all we're saying here is if we do find an ASIN or a bad search term in the auto campaign, we're going to make it exact match negative, and we're also going to negative that ASIN. For the research campaign, again, we're just going to make that an exact match negative keyword. Beyond just optimizing your keyword bids, these are the only rules that are really required to truly optimize any types of PPC campaigns. Whether or not you're using a PPC platform such as Atomic, it's important to remember those key elements of optimizing. Now, I will show you how to manually do those optimizations within Atomic later, but first I want to show you the distinction between rules that you'll get when you create a campaign, as I just showed you, or if you've already got campaigns running, how you can effectively add those rules to your existing campaigns. Within the Ad Manager of Atomic, this is an area where it's going to be most familiar to most sellers as it's very similar to the Campaign Manager within Seller Central. The major difference is on the far right-hand side where you'll see columns that are specific to our rules, such as the bid algorithm, target value, whether or not you want to turn on bid automation, and rules. I'm going to go into detail into the rules section right now. And again, this is important if you already have campaigns that are uploaded into the Atomic tool. So when you click on the cog icon, you have the ability to make rules from scratch, or you can edit rules as you see in this campaign. I'm going to go ahead and just click on the edit because it's very similar to the rule creation. So as you can see, we've got a rule name, positive or negative, because again, those are the only 2 different rule types. And you definitely want to include, if you've made any updates, the date in which you made those updates so you can check on the performance of the rule after you made those changes. You can select here whether or not you want to create that converting search term in ASIN keyword rule, which is promotion, or if you want to find performing search terms in ASINs, which is the negative rule. We do have these contains filters, which is very helpful if you're trying to isolate specific keywords. So in this example, you can see that we do not want to see particular search terms be promoted in this rule. And that is because in this account, there is a branded keyword campaign. So the name of this brand is iWalk. So we don't want to have the search term with the words iWalk promoted in this specific rule set because we already have a branded keyword campaign where all of the branded keywords live. You also see knee scooter included, and that is again simply because we have a campaign that is specific to the keywords for knee scooter, so we don't want to see this particular keyword added as a keyword into this promotion rule. This one is pretty broad. You can see there is actually 9 different ad groups in this campaign. So if I wanted to make any edits to this, such as maybe turning on or off the search term isolation, this is where you do it here. If you wanted to remove a particular campaign from the rule, you can do that by simply clicking on the X. Or if you wanted to add another ad group into the campaign rule, you can go ahead and do that here. So this is really important. Obviously, when you're starting from scratch, this is where you're going to go and find the campaigns that you want to add to an existing rule. Again, it's really important to note that in one rule, you should really only have campaigns that have the same exact product in it, or maybe variations. If you put different campaigns with different products in the same rule, Atomic will not know that. So it's going to give you suggestions potentially that are not the best when trying to maximize the potential of those specific products and those campaigns. So now let's take a look at the negative version. So similar to the promotion rule, we have the title and the date that it was last updated. We are going to go ahead and leave automation off on these ones. I didn't mention it in the first rule, but you do have the ability to automate all of these so that you don't see suggestions. These rules can automatically apply and move or make negative keywords for you. If you do want to use some of our advanced settings, you have the ability to do that here. So most of the settings here are set to just use Atomic's algorithm, but for negative keywords, you might have certain click thresholds or spend thresholds that you would like to have met before the negative rule is applied. In general, if a search term has 10 clicks and no sales, it's probably not going to convert. So this is where you would add that click threshold. Or maybe you have a spend threshold in mind. These are both based on margins for your product. If you have a really high margin, you might be able to afford a higher threshold. If you have a smaller margin, then this is where you're probably going to want to add those thresholds so that the negative keyword suggestions are really relevant to your budgets and your margins. We have similar contains filters here, so you can actually filter the negative as well to only include certain search terms or do not include certain search terms, similar to the positive keyword rule. And again, we see the same 9 ad groups that are listed here, and all of the check marks on the far right are to let Atomic know the match type in which you want to make a search term negative if it is found. So again, we are looking at all of the search terms across every single one of these particular campaigns. And generally speaking, if a search term does not work for one type of campaign, if these are all the same products, it's most likely not going to work for other campaigns. And that is why we look at all the search terms across every single campaign or ad group that's added into a rule, and we make the suggestions based on the results that we see in whole versus just looking at accounts or campaigns one at a time. If you are creating rules for yourself from scratch based on existing campaigns, you might find that you're missing one of the suggested campaigns in our framework. So in that case, you would just go ahead and create that campaign outside in the Ad Manager in Seller Central, and then once it's seen in Atomic, you can go ahead and add that missing campaign into an existing rule. So for example, let's say that you have all the campaigns that we recommend except for the auto campaign. That's a really important one. So if you really want to take advantage of our rules, you would want to create that auto campaign separately from your existing campaigns. And then once it is seen in Atomic, go ahead and add that into your rule set so that we can look at all the search terms across the board for all different campaigns that we recommend in a given campaign framework.